Hey guys, it's Friday, and that means it's Nancy Matz Friday, and we're going to be discussing attachments and how they can affect your health. See you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust, turn out the lights and open your evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Well, we can see the computer has a mind of its own tonight. I don't know why that does that. Ever since I installed Windows 11. So who knows? You know, it didn't the last 2 nights in a row or 3 nights it didn't do that. But we had issues tonight with it. So it just falls under the category of who knows. You know, it's either the internet connection or something with Windows 11. I even looked it up online. Oh God, I almost just ended the show by accident. It's gonna be one of those nights. I even looked up this problem with Windows 11 online, and it is a frequent problem that happens. That certain Windows computers will randomly freeze. So who knows? Okay, getting back to normal. My name is Charlotte, and I'm going to be your host tonight. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of right now sunny Sacramento, California. We're 45 strong up and down the state. That means we can get to you. We can get to if you think you've got a paranormal issue and you contact us. We can get to you. It might take us a while, big state, but we can get to you. And if we can't get to you right away, we have people on staff like Nancy and other people who can call and calm things down before we get out there, if it is paranormal. Okay, that way you don't have to be stressing out. Okay, that being said, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube, California Haunts Radio. In fact, it's youtube.com/California Haunts. Right? Did I change that? YouTube.com. I'm trying to remember what it is. Yeah, youtube.com. And I'm giving you guys the wrong address. So I think it's youtube.com and just /California Haunts Radio. That's what I think it is. I wrote it down. I can't see it from here. I'm blind today. Sorry. And you can also find us over at TikTok under California Haunts. It's lowercase. And you can find us over at Twitter at Cal Haunts. And over at Twitch, I believe it's Cal Haunts as well. You can find me over at Instagram under Ghosty Gal. And that's all lowercase as well. Okay. That all being said, announcements. The Patreon is now up and activated. And I'm real excited about this whole thing with the Patreon because what this is going to help me with also is not only being able to afford to keep this team going, to keep the show going. My hard drive fills up really fast with these pre-recorded videos and all the stuff we're doing now. So this gives me the opportunity to show those videos early, and then as soon as it gives me the opportunity to upload the videos to YouTube right away, which means I can move them to my backup hard drive right away without having them on my hard drive forever. That's what it means. So I'm excited about that. That's one of the things I'm excited about. But I mean, for $5.50, this thing it's a steal because I'm giving you stuff that's tier 3, 2 and 3s. That you would normally get on the upper tiers. You're getting all that for $5.50. Which means you're not only getting me, no, you're not only getting these first view videos, you're getting extra stuff. Like, for instance, maybe Nancy and I might come on, if not Friday night after the show, we might come on Saturday night and do an extra chat with you guys, question and answer, or maybe readings or something like that. That's all over there, but you have to be a subscriber, right? Any other guests, like the nice lady last night, Lynn Monet, have her come on over there and do a special interview and question answer period session over there. So I mean, that's what we're looking at with this Patreon. So it's really a cool deal. And once a month, a giveaway for the subscribers. And I'm working on some products right now, and I think I've got some pretty cool stuff. But we have to, in order to do that, we have to reach certain levels of subscribers before I'm going to do that stuff. But I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And I think the best way for you to get a feel for it is to go over and check the Patreon out, because I'm going to give you a hint. First guests on the Patreon are going to be the lifelong UFO contactee couple, because we're doing a part 2 and a part 3 with them for interviews. So part 2 is over there. It's waiting to be, it's waiting to be seen, and I will probably air it sometime next week for everyone that signs up for the Patreon. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going all over the page here because I'm really tired. But Nancy's here tonight, and we can get on and we can talk about attachments. Attachments do weird things to people. I know last night Lynn Monet talked about attachments as well. And what they did for some of those mental health patients, right? So we're going to be talking about stuff like that tonight. All right, I'm going to shut up, and here we go.
Hello, everybody. You're tired again on my show. Uh,
I
gosh,
had a rough day.
you had a rough day. You
I had
told
a
me ahead of time. I'm sorry. Nothing I can do about it. I'm really sorry. I hope. Well, anyway, we're going to get through this show. I uh, I did enjoy that lady last night, and
I'm
I
just
meant
kidding.
to call you. Does it sound like me? Have I not said most of those things?
It does. It does. One thing
Did you?
I
I
got
check.
to interrupt. I got to interrupt really quick. Um, my mind's like Jill. I can't remember who the heck it was. Jennifer.
What?
Jennifer, who's a regular viewer of the show,
Uh huh.
was cooking today and cut her hand real bad, and she's at the ER. So we got to send out good juju to Jennifer.
Oh,
And
I've done
Karen
that.
Clark's mother, they think that she had a heart attack tonight. So we got to send out good juju over there too.
Oh, when I was
So
a young mother, my daughter was around 3, and I was opening a can up. You know how you old time most of people have electric now, and I
right.
was just going like this. She come in with a pot and pan and went bam. Ended up
Whoa.
cutting 4 stitches in my finger, and you know the arthritic issue when it goes to the bone,
Right.
that finger goes weather change, weather change. I think a lot of people have cut themselves in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I see these professionals with these big knives and they're cutting carrots, bum, 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 and I think, oh,
I saw
you
a
don't even
guy.
want me near that,
I
huh?
saw a guy on TikTok the other night. He had one of those cleavers,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
he actually was holding the vegetable in his hand
yeah.
and using the cleaver
Oh,
in
yeah.
his hand. And I was like,
He did
whoa.
put it in his hand.
Yeah, and he's one of these guys, and I'm not going to say his name, but he's critical of like the home chefs, like you and I do. Now
Oh,
let's make lasagna on camera. He's real
yeah.
critical, like, oh, you're not holding that knife right. It's just like, I'm sorry, but holding the fruit or vegetable in your hand and chopping away with a real sharp meat cleaver,
Oh, no, yeah.
don't even go there with me. Don't go there with me.
Most people wouldn't catch me in the kitchen trying to do something like that in the first place. And you're talking about having a bad hair day. My bad day. My hair is all over the place. Well, this is going to be a different kind of topic tonight.
Yes,
The point of belief. And I did like what she brought up in mental health facilities. Spirits become attachments. And I've addressed this many times that, and remember,
I'm
this
kidding.
is, what did you say?
I just fell
I,
asleep. No, I'm kidding.
I'm trying to think through what, I'm not going to look at you anymore. You're distracting me. I want I didn't judge it, but you just, anyway, come on, everybody. We got to knuckle down here a little bit.
Oh,
Uh,
I heard.
I have talked endless hours, and and one fella hasn't had me back on his show for a while because I do not believe in the true definition of demon. And I know there's exorcists, and I'm not going to take their jobs away from them. Absolutely not, because they're dealing with spirits that turned into ghosts, the ghosts that turned into insanity. And unfortunately, if a insane asylum individual dies, they're already insane. And they may not cross over, they don't want to. The difference with that, and I'm going to address this real quick here, is if they're already in a insane asylum and they do die, they're free or they stay there. And if they're free and they go down to your neighborhood and they find somebody they're like, oh my. Oh my. And then let's add on 200 years in America, 400 years in England. And these same insane people have had no resolution. No one's coming to get them now, or they will not visually be able to comprehend, depending on what sanity branch of schizophrenia or whatever disease they had at the time that made them that way. I know syphilis also does that. Kind of makes
Mhm.
you go quack break. A little bit crazy on the side. So in some ways, when we address attachments, we have to understand at what point in their insanity has driven them to you. And if they've been driven or directed or found you, what is it about you that satisfies their need. And I'm not going to go and blame or put anything on people. But if you're a recovered alcoholic, but you're what they call a dry alcoholic, a dry, I don't know what that means. I'm not in that environment, but say someone's recovered from alcoholism, but they
Mhm.
live alcoholism every day and they can feel it and they breathe it and they never really recovered. Is that person going to be more receptive to somebody who died in that condition? Absolutely. Absolutely. And at times you have to go to a place and say, I am recovered from that. Now I'm going to turn my vibration around. I'm going to become a teacher, a helper, charity. You have to do something so drastic in your vibration as to be a different wavelength so they can never attach to you. We have to address this sometime. Then you go to a place, and I've already talked about this once. We had another show on attachments. Karen Rossine and I are compiling stories where she's called me up. I have a difficult case. They're going to show up next week. Can you tell me what's going on with them? And she does it not like I'm going to get this is my job or anything. She just asked my opinion. I don't get paid, reimbursed. But sometimes it's not like she can't do a job. It's that someone comes and she's getting that twitchy feeling that that person talking to me is not the only one in that flesh jacket. That
Mhm.
body, there's more than one person in there.
Mhm.
And I have seen I've seen attachments like the little girl last night. I already talked about them. I mean, the bubbles, the blobs, the half bodies, the whole child will involve newborns in a baby, kittens in a person, the kittens that come and an alien. And people say to me, "Oh, you want me to believe that?" I go, if anybody knows anything about me, I'm probably the most honest person. And you know why? Because people call me up, pay me to be honest. And
Mhm.
I expect them to be honest back. So you can imagine 33 years, May 4th, everybody. I got an anniversary coming up May 4th. 33 years of helping people wade through the difficult things in their life. So I won't ever, I have to say the truth because these stories can all be proven. And Karen Rossing and I have talked endless hours on, can you believe this? And I says, oh my God, that's a head turner. And she just recently talked to me, and I call, oh, this is a head turner. I want to yell. Are you kidding me? This is happening to this person? And she says, and we've had this conversation, everybody. I want you to know that a third of the people coming, she cannot address that. She cannot because they would never be receptive. A
Mhm.
third of the people, if you kind of say to them, you're unhappy. I don't want anybody calling me because I've done this to you guys. When I have felt something not quite right, you're very unhappy now. I can really feel that on you. If you go back and listen to tapes, you'll know I'm talking about somebody attached to you. And I've done this for decades. And I even did it on a show. I was blatantly doing this. And George Lopez Paranormal, Port Orange Paranormal, it was either 2010 or 11. And I was on his show quite a few times those few years. And they were doing a ghost investigation. And please don't ask me how I do this. I see with my eye, my third eye, or whether, I see with my visibleness. And I could see this fella had this blob on his chest. It was on his right side. It was like right here.
Mhm.
And so don't go wacky on me, everybody. So when I read somebody, no matter where they are in the world, people say to me, "Oh my God, I can feel you." Well, remember I told you I have a lot of energy, a lot of
Mhm.
force, and I can touch somebody and they can feel me around their shoulders and their neck. I can also do it just with my hand. So I can visualize being in the same room with this fella, and I push that attachment through his body and to the other side. We yanked him right off. You don't pull him off, you push him off because you push them off, if you yank them off, they go right back to the spot where you just pulled them. Yes.
I have a question. I mean, I've been told, not that I have attachments, well, bleh, but I've been told by different psychics that when you talk about the attachment being at the shoulders, is that
Mhm.
is that pretty much the place where they will attach to you? Because I've been
Mhm.
told by psychics time and time again when they see attachments, they're usually on the shoulders and up here.
I think it's predominantly upper body.
Okay.
Um, the um, the alien was on its back. Um, the kittens were in the belly. The unborn stillbirths were in the belly.
Makes sense
I
with
seen
that.
it on the head, absolutely on the head. The people that have a personality change and they get really depressed and morose and they just got to hold their head and they put it down. That's
Uh-huh.
usually because the attachment's around their head. They can't seem to peel off that depression. It's right there, right there. And so many I go, I know somebody like that.
Mhm.
Well, more likely they could have somebody who is and was of that depressed, morose, heavy, negative space all the time, and they found somebody else to clamor and get that vibration off their brain.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you have to appreciate the human torso is 99% of it, right? And so
Right.
our heart and our activity seems to be the upper part. I mean, who would want the bottom half of our torso? I did see
True.
it once. I saw it
True.
once. Someone was on the, oh, I dare say this, was that with Karen? On their rump. I saw attachment on the rump. And I suspect that the person might have passed away. I said he real quick. I don't remember if it was he or not.
Mhm.
Might have died of a disease of that rump area. And so that person might have had issues with colon and it
Right.
recognized that and went to it. So it, oh, please don't call me if it was you out there I'm talking about. Ah, Lordy, 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 Lordy. Uh, So I wrote some notes, everybody. Yes, I did. You know me. And I
Right.
really had to give it some thought. A couple of these things will be talked about briefly, but there was something else I want to talk about, and is that I remember my telling you, Karen would talk to me about these clients, and I did question her often. Now we've picked this up. How do you tell this person? And being very fair, she did tell me she does have to evaluate like a third, a third, a third. And
Mhm.
if they come in and they're willing to talk to her, they're wanting answers. And if you go to someone like me, I'll give you quick answers. But if
Sure.
you want to fix long-term past life crippling from your childhood up to this point, yeah, I can point it out to you, but you need therapy. That's what Karen does. And she
Mhm.
can feel in a person. People walk up to me, they go, "Oh, you got a big life force. You, oh, you're very intuitive." And how many times have I talked to someone in chat room and they have this bellow of energy? I go, "Oh, you're very intuitive." She can feel that. And she will say things like, have you ever noticed how intuitive you are? In your life, do you think you've ever seen, and they'll say, why do you ask? Why? You go, oh, I just can feel that you're very receptive. So she measures and balances it out. Now, that's from a bona fide, went to school forever kind of therapist. Well, I do the same thing. And a lot of times it's easier for me just to pull it off, push it off. Pull it off means it can go right back, but if you push it, it disorients them. In some ways, I have to measure word for word everything I say. I'm just getting distracted here, guys. And so it for me to measure. Yeah, I think quick. I have to. I have to sit on my feet, go pop, 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 get the answers for you. But if there's an attachment issue, if I think there has been, and I want to bring up something that's been brought up before. Don't know. Remember, this is one of those. Do you believe, Nancy? The attachment can go from lifetime to lifetime. Not sure how that works, but I've heard people say that. So that's another conversation for another day. I'd have to do a lot of research because it's not something I come up with. If I
Right.
haven't all these years, I'm not knowing about that. It's like karma goes from one lifetime to another. Well, my years, I've never seen that happen. You create poo poo in this lifetime, you're going to get poo poo before you leave. Why
Mhm.
wait until next lifetime? You've forgotten that life, right? Now, there is such a thing as earning good karma in one lifetime, and then you get a whole bucket of good stuff in the next lifetime. Now, what happens if you use it up? Well, then you're back on square one with everybody else. You make it or break it. But I do believe in that. Do you have a lifetime of bucket of bad stuff because you pull it forward? I kind of think you can.
Mhm.
If you were a soldier in a Nazi concentration camp, I think you can bring back those emotions and feelings. And I think that you will become a service to others. There's ways that you can do that. I'm not going to point out fingers or do talk about that too much, but I do believe there's some sort of rolling over of your minutes, for lack of a better term. I'm talking a little too quick. I got to slow down, everybody. I want to talk about something that happened. This was a topic I brought up to Char last week, and it just popped into my head. I don't know what we were talking about. And yesterday, I had a situation, and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Of course, the universe doesn't make mistakes, and it was exactly perfect. And then something happened today where I could not do the same thing. So, yesterday, I went to the eye doctor's office, went for an eye exam. After 2 years, you better do it. And I took an extra pair of my glasses. And went in there and I said, "Oh, I would like to talk to somebody about ordering a second pair of glasses because Nancy misses places them before I have to leave. And I'd have a second pair would be helpful." And this lady sat down with me. Uh, she looked younger than I am, and we were talking, and somehow we started talking about. Oh, I brought up my husband would come in something because he needs some glasses too, and we have the
Mm.
same eye doctor. And she says, "Oh, I wish I could say that." I go, "Here's a line, everybody." And I go, "Oh, oh, really? What does that mean?" And she says, "My husband just died January 7th." Bing. Guess what turned on, bonk? So her husband's standing right there behind her. And I have learned over the years how to turn the switch off. Now, there had been more conversation. She had been married before. I have been married before. And we started talking about second marriages, and he'd been the love of her life and everything. And he's standing there looking at me. And I'm going, "Okay, I'm going to look around." And I looked around everywhere, and the business is very quiet. It's a very nice tabletop optical in Oroville. Just wonderful place. Wonderful. And I got to a place where I was really worried because I really didn't know how to deal with this. Um, it's not something I'm I believe that if the universe wants you to know something, then you're going to ask. I can't arbitrarily just start mouthing off and giving you information. I won't go to the mall or dinner place. I won't do this and I won't do that because then I could interfere with your free will. Whatever free will we have, I cannot take it from you. That's why I'm cautious with people who want to live day by day by talking to me. What's next? What's next? What's next? Is he
Mhm.
thinking about me? Will he call me tonight? Oh, right? Then I'm living your life. And listen, I have enough trouble living my own, just like everybody else. I would just agonize over this. And she had heard that I was a counselor. And at the moment, I'm starting to think, can I even tell her what I do? And I go with this, and you know what did it? Her husband went, "Boom," like, "Don't you get it?" And I went, "Ah!" I thought, "Oh, excuse me." I'm gonna say the wrong word here. And I thought, "Oh, damn, I'm right there. I'm agonizing everybody. I'm looking around. I don't know what to do. I've never spoke 10 minute words this, and somehow I let it out that I was a counselor." She says, "Of what?" "Death, dying, and grieving." It's one of my, because you don't know, I'm a minister also, but I've been through hospice training numerous times. And I did do this for a while, and I have not stopped because people do seek me out for that. So I
Mhm.
will take on a client who's actively dying, and I have stories about that. And the sweat's building up, right? And I said, I'm going to just say something. I said, I am very intuitive, and people call me a psychic medium because I can see things that help them through their grieving. And she said, "Oh, I don't believe in that. I'm Christian." And you know what? It wasn't like she did this, but she went, "Oh, I can't. I'm a Christian." She had very dignified answers, very dignified. And I says, "I wouldn't have told you." I can't remember if I worded it just like that, but I described her husband standing behind her. You know that deer in the headlight kind of a thing?
Mm.
Well, I can't believe in that. I says, okay, then how do you think I knew what your husband looked like? Hmm. Um, Sometimes it's hard to have a belief system when you can't see an attachment. When you can't see the beloved one that I'm seeing, or describe the person that will greet you at death if you're the dying, which I've done numerous times. Best story of all, and I've always told you this, and a little lady in the hospital dying, she calls me up. Not with Linda. Linda, everybody, she was dying, but she didn't want to know the truth, so I couldn't give it to her. And she
Mhm.
did die. And the staff probably wanted me to tell her she was dying, but she wouldn't let me. So it dictates what I can say, truly.
Mhm.
Anyway, she was dying of brain cancer and she felt fine. But the little girl in the hospital, she was in her 40s, I think, and she was active dying, and she called me up to visit with her. And standing in front of her, I walked in and I saw Grandma. I went, "Hi." And she had two hands of ribbons, pink ribbons, real long ones. Now my friend who was dying, she's an African girl, and she looked at me and I told her what Grandma looked like and all these ribbons. And then Grandma wanted me to see her as a child, where the ribbons would go in pigtails all around her head.
Mhm.
Makes me want to cry. The patient, my friend, lit up. She said, "Oh my God, of all people, I'm just." So, what did it take for her to believe, for me to describe somebody like that? Now, if you have an attachment and someone says, "Boy, you act strange," can you accept that? Did this lady accept what I do?
Mhm.
By the way, can I have your card? It brought her comfort, even if she didn't want to believe it. But I think there was something going on in her mind, like, how did she know what my husband looked like? And I didn't even describe his mother was standing next to her. I thought that would be an overload. If she calls me again, I will tell her. And the husband, he was looking at her, and he turned around and went like this. I go, okay, okay. What am I going to do if he gets mad at me? Like, I told you to tell her I'm right here. You know, I've been gone a couple months, 3 months. What is it, January, February, March? 2 months. You look pretty good for 2 months, not even recovery. He
Mhm.
he died of an illness, so his grieving was part of the illness also. Belief is a hard one for talking about, because you who are listening to me are questioning the finality of death.
Mhm.
And the trust and belief in going on is something you can't hold on to unless you talk to people like us or listen to us on the RSS stream. And why should you believe me? I could be making this all up. Am I making it up, Shar?
No, in fact, I was just going to add in. Um, it depends on the the religion. We had a case that we went back twice, same family, only the wife was a Jehovah Witness, and her house was really active. And when we would sit down and talk to her about it, she said, "Well, I see the stuff going on, but I don't believe in that stuff." So you have to come to a certain point where you say, "Okay, all I can do for you is tell you what I see and what's
Yeah,
going on."
I did work on that case, huh?
I think so. Yeah, I think you did the first time we went out, and the second time we had someone different on it. Yeah, and I
I did. I
remember we we had the report, everything you said, everything was there. And when I did the presentation, I sat down with her and said, "Look, this is what is going on. We've got EVPs to back it up, but I'm not faulting you for not having that belief structure to believe, because not everybody believes in this stuff. But you have the
right.
information in front of you, and if and so it's up to you.
Yeah, and
What you're gonna
that's
believe.
difficult because we trust our pastors and
Yeah.
religious figures, and and it's really difficult. There's a lot of religions Oh,
Mhm.
fudge. Sorry, everybody. I get pop-up screens. Oh my gosh. Um, so anyway, sometimes it's really hard to figure out. Um, what did I do here? I got a little screen now. I think it's really hard to be okay with what we can't believe in, but we need the proof. And if you have a religion that doesn't allow you to have that basis. So I married a Catholic first time around. And even though um, I I went to school to become a Catholic, all that, I couldn't get away from the idea that there were spirit people walking around.
Mhm.
And then I'm not being critical, I just couldn't. And so in some ways, when I got cancer and got divorced and got into this because I needed more answers, it was
Mhm.
really hard for me to say, I will believe in this only after years of all this. And I've already told you it took me a couple of years just to get the idea that we come back. I was flabbergasted. But when I started in 90, there was nothing on TV. We didn't have a computer. We didn't have all these shows that you can listen to. There was nothing out there, let alone having a phone. I didn't get a pager, I think 93, 94. And I thought I died and gone to heaven. I thought, oh my God, I have a pager. People now can
Too.
get me through a pager. Yeah, you did that with your reporting, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so to trust and to allow to have trust that something's going to happen for you is the same as, do you trust this? I tell people I learned to trust it because of the exposure.
Mhm.
I trust it because I learned to accept what other people wrote. Eileen Garrett was somebody I kind of fashioned myself after. Very analytical. I come from an engineering background, rules and regulations. My husband was in police work. None of this esoterical, paranormal, mystical environment that I'm part of now was even, I would never even consider it. I think that was one reason why it was hard for me to accept this because people wanted to call me psychic, and I didn't even think of myself that way.
Mhm.
I didn't work at a circus. I have no trappings around me that look anything like a crystal. Do I
No
have a
crystal
crystal?
balls.
Not that I think I do have a crystal. I think someone gave me one, but I don't even know where it is. So I'll have to think about it. But certainly I use none of those trappings. I do like tarot cards, everybody, but I don't use them. I like the artwork. I haven't looked at him for years, but I got for a while there. I thought, well, I'll try him. And the trouble is, once you're acclimated to a particular kind of um, informational stream, you don't
Mhm.
want to muddy it up with
Right.
some other process because then
Right.
you don't know what to trust. I do this with my brain. I use my
Right.
life force and I enter someone's time right here. Um, and then I coat the person all around the body really quick to see if anybody's attached. It's
Mhm.
coming more common. Edith Filori, The Unquiet Dead. Edith Filori, F-L-I-O-R-E, The Unquiet Dead. Probably could get it Kindle now. It's been a long
Mhm.
time since I've looked it up, but there are so many others, so many other people that do this now. She was the one that kind of woke me up to this. Years I read the book, I didn't believe it. And she was very dignified in the way she approached. She was a therapist and she understood things. She says, and Karen and I thought about this, how we're going to address this in the book. We don't want to give an okay to criminals because they could say, well, I had an attachment. Well, you'd have to
Mhm.
prove it to us. And if they're not
Right.
there, what did you do? You haven't done anything different. So if Nancy doesn't see attachment on you, honey, you're guilty as booze. But a lot of our actions, unfortunately, is because we have an attachment. And I've already described to you several incidences that Karen and I had talked about on another show. So you can go back and listen to that one on attachments. Tonight is trying to talk and accept and believe and understand. So I can give you right now some of the symptoms. Personality change. Yes, you can have a brain dysfunction, front lobe, something or other dementia. You can have or what Robin Williams have. Yes, there's all kinds of symptoms. Um, and you could have depression. I
Mhm.
guess if I were going to say the common denominator, uh-oh, we got a cat here, everybody. It's okay. It's
Okay,
okay.
well, you know what? I'm changing the shows up a little bit. Nancy and I had a discussion about this, so I want to take a couple minutes here and to ask you if you like what you see right now and you like what you're hearing. Shoot us some hearts. Show us some love. We want to see some love. Okay, it
And
helps.
I
It helps with our numbers. Also, if you like what you hear and you haven't subscribed already to the Facebook pages, please follow. And the same thing goes for YouTube if you're on YouTube. Now, that being said, I got something pretty to show y'all.
I'm just reading some good questions in here.
Okay,
Oh, there you are.
yes, this is the address to our Patreon, which is hidden by the thing. Let me get it here. There we go. Okay, like I said earlier in the show, we are now offering a Patreon membership page. I'm sorry, Patreon. God, that's how my night's been. A Patreon membership page is $5.50 per subscription per month, and we have a lot of stuff that we're offering there. Like I said, we're going to have first look at pre-recorded stuff for you guys. We're going to have contests over there to win stuff like coffee cups and things like that. We're going to have Nancy over there sometimes doing an after show to answer questions. Maybe you didn't get your question answered during this show. Well, Nancy would be over there to answer, to answer those questions. But that's all for subscribers, right?
Mm.
And also guests, be doing special interviews over there as well for the more for guests that people like. And no commercials, no nothing with it. I mean, there's a lot to offer over there, and I'm going to put a link into the Discord, so there's a place to chat afterwards and all that good stuff. But there's a lot we're offering, and I think it's a good deal for $5.50 a month. So you can go over there at patreon.com/California Haunts Radio. The C, H, and R are capitalized. That's patriot.com California Haunts Radio. And like I said, check out, because I'm trying to skim over everything that I'm offering. It's all listed over there. And to give you an idea, Patriot likes you to do like tiers. Like you would have a, a cheap tier, then it goes up by a couple dollars and a couple dollars. I'm giving you for introductory at just $5.50 per Patriot membership. I'm giving you everything that would be in the second and third tiers, along with the first tier. So if that's something that you might be interested in, please head on over there. Okay, I'll shut up now.
That's very good. I was leaning back to keep the calm the cat down. The last thing you want is this big black cat. um, I do like the Patreon, and you forgot to mention we have to have a certain number
Yeah,
for us to be able to get on. Okay,
yeah.
so we will hold back until we get the number that Shar, I think she has to investigate, or there's a number in her head. So when we get that, and if initially I said, well, I should stay on after a show or have, I can't remember how we initially, if Shar
Right,
is not tired, we would do it immediately
right,
following. And the
right,
reason is that we don't want you to forget your questions.
right.
No personal readings. I'm just going to talk about the show or anything else that you've discussed behind the scenes with any other show. And then she mentioned once we get this going, is start asking back the people who she had interviewed that had a good response. And to volunteer their time is maybe more advertising for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm just part of Shara's world, and we've been doing this. I'm doing this for her, and anyway, there are some really good questions. Please address non-human attachments as well.
Yes.
I believe those also exist, more like energies that attach. Absolutely. Uh, so, excuse me. Uh, Karen Rossing brought up a lady, and we talked about her. And this lady, if I say too much about her, I don't want to give it away because she is distinctive. She had alternate energy beings around both of her ankles, and we would call them fairies.
Mm-hmm.
They were feeding her um, lightheartedness, the energy of fairy kingdom, where you would be mystical and enchanting. You would have feelings of all the things that fairies talk about. I don't do fairies very easily or very often, so I do believe in that. I already told you I saw this only one time. Could be more. I haven't met more than one alien. Someone said to me once, "How do you know wasn't attached to its wife or husband, spouse? I says, absolutely. Why not? Maybe it's followed her. I mean, there you go with the question I can't answer.
Hmm.
But I do believe that in the cosmos, and I wanted to bring this up too, when those of you who have scientific minds, hello, me too. I am a nerd, everybody. How can I do both, this and that? I do and follow all space uh, programs, travel history, anything nerdy. And my son is an aerospace engineer. Hello. So when I think of the cosmos and I think of space, and I have a screensaver of the telescope taking pictures of faraway co- uh, the solar system. I do that. That's the kind of person I am. And then you think about us as a speck of dust. How can even UFO people find us? Well, I think that we shine. I think that there are highways through the cosmos connecting. Um, well, I wouldn't say the spiral. What's that called? The spiral going around the black hole. What's that called? Here I'm telling you this. My entire too.
Wormhole.
I do the wormhole has created dust that created planets, and we're all swirling around it. I
Hmm.
think there's super highways connecting everything. And once we learn black hole travel, I don't think so. Wormhole travel, maybe. But I think there's ways that people do seek out. And now we've got equipment to test other planets and other solar systems to see if they have the carbon print that designates life. And I think that's very easy to find. And so other beings that are interested in us would come because maybe that's what they are, is part carbon.
Hmm.
Now, Star Trek had a creature on there with silicone base. Those silicone people are looking for other silicone people. I don't know. But I think it's no big mystery. And just today, I got a call that said, by the way, the scientists and NASA have announced, the government has announced rather, that there was a comet that came close to Earth just recently. Now they think it was a mothership. The word mothership was part of the article. So everybody, look it up. It was just today. I was gone and busy most of the day, so I haven't even watched the news yet. So I would expect that tomorrow morning's news is going to have something on this. Did you hear this one, Shar?
I haven't
Did
heard
you?
that yet. I'll have to look that up.
Okay,
Pamela
someone in the Pamela,
Pamela
look
is
it up.
asking. Pamela is asking, how can you tell if you have an attachment?
I was talking about that before we got distracted.
Yes, yes.
Non-human. Thank you for reminding me, because I read through them all. I really like this. Please address non-human attachments as well. I believe those do exist,
Hmm.
absolutely, and dogs and cats particularly. Now, it doesn't mean your dog and cat can't be part of your house, but if you were energetically embroiled in the disease of a pet, and you wanted to hold that pet and you wanted to embrace it and cover it, I wouldn't be surprised if that animal came to you afterward and can let you continue to hold it by becoming part of your energy field. I've seen that. There's a gal named Cindy. I know she wouldn't mind me coming talking about this, about a horse that reincarnated and came back. Absolutely. I don't know if a horse would attach itself. Now, I'm a horse person. I didn't particularly like my horse, but I like them a lot. That doesn't mean that horse is going to come here and attach itself to me. But I tell you, I had a dog named Bonnie. I don't know. I still feel that animal around me. Did it come back to me? I can't answer that. Through the divorce, the animal had to stay with my ex-husband because of where we lived. And that's the animal that ran hundreds of miles with me. You know, the dog runs, I run 16 miles and it would do 40, all over the place. And I really, truly love that animal. So did that animal come back to me or does it keep me company? Well, I had a friend, we were talking about the afterlife, and she says, I see you with a big black dog. Oh my God, that's my dog. So dogs will greet us at death. Absolutely. And she saw me running and riding a horse with that same dog. Because those were the best years of being an athlete was when you had that animal. Did that animal come back? No, it's going to stay there, wait for me. Is it attached? I do not feel that. But you could. And what that does is it also feeds into your depression. If you came to me a year or two after an animal died, I would suspect that animal is part of your energy field, and you're constantly reminded of the death of the animal, and you won't be able to move on. So what you want to do is hold your body, meditate, relax, and go over your whole body until you bump into dog more than what you are. It will be evident to you. And I want you to just love it to death and then just gently move it off of you. And then talk to it as though he were alive and say, vegetable, go on, like whatever you would say. So it wouldn't come back. You'd be happy, change your energy field. I was told I had attachments on my ankle like a shackle. Wow, shackle. Well, the fairies are around that lady. So whoever told you that might have had a point of reference instead of uh, something else. Oh, that maybe woman thought of you being held back, slowed down, something, something. So maybe you had something heavy there. I don't know if it was an animal. I don't know if that was a human being. It could have been. But when I look at your ankles, all I see is a mass, or did. Because when she's telling you, I can see something around your ankle, doesn't mean it's a human being that's right there. If it's an ample, I can't tell. Self-created? Absolutely. Absolutely, we can. We can create a ball and chain. Okay, so that's hard too. Is there any way that, is there, I got hung up on Theire, I think it's, is there any way the person can tell if they have an attachment? I've been giving you a couple of ideas now. And the one lady with the kittens was actually grieving over the death of the 3 kittens that she knew about. And she would just weep and grieve. And then she called Karen and talked to her about this. She says, I just can't get over these kittens. And at night when I go to bed, my stomach starts rumbling. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing my belly go up and down like this. And when Karen called me, she says, what's wrong with this lady? Nancy. I went right to her and I says, oh, she's got 3 kitten babies inside of her belly and they're not going to leave.
Hmm.
So Karen turned around to the client and said, I have this friend. And she would never lie. She says, and then that story came out. And what you need to do is you need to allow your grieving be true. But you also need to go to places they are now in peace out of the
Mhm.
suffering. And you are so grateful they're not, that you're willing to let them go and be happy in their kitten heaven. Something like that. Um, a lot of people have aches and pains. A lot of people have disability issues, but no disease and no pain. Pay attention to that. Because I do believe that we can be hunched over, we can be crippled. I have a tendency, all these years of being an engineer, I was always hunched over. When I got out of that, became a supervisor, I was upright, but then I did tons of paperwork.
Mhm.
So I got into this and I'm doing tons of paperwork. I have a back issue and I tried to sit up. It's my fault. I get it, but I do not have attachment. You have to discern what your issue is. Is it something you created of your body, or is it something that you feel pressure pushed down all the time? And you say to yourself, well, life's really hard on me. I feel weary and I feel like I'm pushed down. It could be an
Mhm.
attachment. Absolutely. I've had people tell me of attachment. In fact, this is another one that Karen talked to me about, of a man who had a shoulder ache. And she says, he has a shoulder ache. I says, well, it's because he's got attachment from it. This is one we talked about before. It sounds familiar. From his spine to his shoulder. And this individual was so pressed into his body that it was pressure on pressure, like 2 life forces pushed together on one side of his body that gave his shoulder stress to work. And so that was also an attachment. Did we talk about this, Shar? This sounds
Uh-uh.
familiar. Okay, maybe
I
off. Yeah,
can't remember.
okay.
Maybe on the phone or something, but not here.
Yeah, quickly. Um, and he was on the back. Oh, I think so because it was also on the back. So this was another on the back thing. Yes, you could have it on your chest, um, which is kind of like indigestion all the time. You're not having a heart attack. You're having pressure, pressure, pressure. and that's someone who is desperate for attention that's come to you. I want to hold you, I want to hold you, come, 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 come. Or somebody who feels um, like that. I was going to say approval. That's not quite the right word. If it's a man, the woman spirit could come. I need a man. I need a man. That kind of feeling. So they go to the heart, the clutch of the hug. So I've seen that happen also. I've seen completely different personality changes. And I think I spoke of this before. Karen and I talked about a woman who was going to come in, and she says, and she talked about a personality change, and she gave Karen a hint. And when she talked to me, she didn't tell me anything. And I says, I feel like this woman has been taken over by a man who's submerged himself almost through her whole body. If she comes in with a man haircut and a suit on, I wouldn't be surprised. And guess what? She came over with a suit and a butch haircut,
Wow.
and he was almost all submerged in her body. And she was in business and finance, so she had occasion to dress. So instead of jeans and a shirt, she'd wear a complete suit with men's shoes.
Hmm.
So she was completely taken over. Oh, yeah, yeah. He's going to come right in the screen, everybody. This is Bud showing up here. Um, so he's kind of not distracting, but I've only given you a few. When you go to a place of worrying, if you have a health issue, absolutely check it out. Don't ignore it. But a lot of times our aches and pains are overuse, but sometimes it can be. And I'm also addressing of the mind. There's so much depression right now. COVID really did a bad thing to us. It really hurt us a lot. And so now you have winter weather. I wonder how many people are in their homes or stuck at home picking up depression and it isn't them. Because I think the spirit will seek out, if they've had a hard life, someone they can miserate with. And
Mhm.
that's what this is about. You miserate with somebody, someone who's drinking, all of a sudden they up and triple the level of drinking, then they probably have an attachment. Or someone on drugs, and the disease is amped up. And I do believe that addiction is a disease where
Mhm.
our body um, needs more and more. And I'm not talking about people like me that can't drink. It
Mhm.
just biologically, I don't drink well, and I won't want to get that way. So no one can attach it to me, only because I'm not
Mhm.
very interesting. um, was there chefs with sharpened cleavers? Oh, it makes me nervous. Uh,
Is there any way that if a person thinks they have an attachment and they don't go to someone like you, is there any way that they could somehow get that off themselves?
right. Well, that's what I said earlier.
Mhm.
You have to go to a place of knowing who you are as a person.
Mhm.
And the hardest homework I tell people, and I know don't call me everybody, is when I tell you to have homework, I say to you, who are you as a human being? You want to date, you want to put yourself out there. What are you going to present to this person that you're going to start dating? Who are you? What are you going to give? Because you want that person coming in your life to give to you. List down everything you're about. You have to do that first. And when you're writing the list out, I like to do this. I like to do that. See if something comes up that you're not haven't done.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of an example real fast. Um, Go out on a Friday night with the guys. Well, that's
Mhm.
not something you do. That's a slip. And remember, these people are unconscious, but they're still having a brain at the time.
Mhm.
Are they insane? Not usually. I've the same people cause a lot of unfortunate things like leave the job and go drinking in the afternoon type of thing. And people would say, "Oh my God, that person never did that." All of a sudden, they're doing that. So out of character. So if you see people with out of character stuff happening, I mean,
Mhm.
really, really out of character. Um, be like me, has some bookings, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to disappear, and then people are sitting at home waiting for a phone call. That's out of
Mhm.
character. If the people are responsible and they ditch everything, or what if they come in and they're going to cook a dinner? Everybody knows, oh, mom, you're cooking again. All of a sudden, there's a big chef coming in, stepping in, and they do this creation. It's not them. Well, that's something different.
Mhm.
So sitting down and analyzing who you are, so if something comes up that's different, that's really hard homework. But if you can, that's important to do. Um, I'm not much of a meditator, but I am somebody that knows my boundaries of my body. So we
Mhm.
have to learn what you feel like. You have to learn your edges. Can you move your shoulders without restrictions? Can you sit quietly and listen to nothing? If you're hearing something, or if you can't concentrate because you want to sing the Beatles songs, yet you were born in the 80s, something's going on. Something's going on. And the last thing I was saying is it's very important to understand what kind of personality type you are. Are you a positive person, or have you had trouble with depression because of life circumstances? Your vibration is who you are. We can change that. Um, I've always advocated Abbott and Costello, or Three Stooges, or um, Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. Those
Hmm.
are my generation. But if there's comics, I know a lot of you Saturday Night Live. If you feel down, pull something out that makes you laugh. I tell you, I bought the whole series of Carol Burnett shows, 90 something dollars. Because you know why? Even I can get bogged down. I want to change my vibration. I will watch something funny. You've watched some drama? Would that change it? I don't know. Kind
See,
of
I'm like
hard.
that with Frasier. I've seen every one of them, probably
Hmm.
about 10 times, 15 times. But if I'm feeling low, I'll pop one. I'll start watching that, and I laugh.
Or something that Walt Disney,
Yeah, something.
cartoon shows,
Yeah,
something funny.
yeah,
I got hooked up on Carol Burnett, one of my favorite shows of all time. Even Sonny and Cher makes me laugh.
yeah.
Some of the stuff they
It's
did,
pretty
yeah.
funny,
Something so different than where you are at the moment
right?
will change your vibration, because those spirit attachments are there because you allowed them to slip into the same vibration as they are. They just slipped right in. You have to change who you are so they can't stay.
Hmm.
And being happy, merriment, wow, wow, wow. I tell you, the funniest thing we saw was, oh, um, the, I can't remember this show. It was Abbott and Costello. They're pushing a piano up a hill. Anybody remember that? I tell you, I never laughed so hard my whole life. And I was going through a tough time, and I watched that, and I was so laughing so hard I rolled over backwards. Talk about changing your vibration, everybody.
Hmm.
For some of you, go kiss a baby. You got babies around, go make a baby laugh. Change your mind. Boom, just like that.
Hmm.
Change your vibration. And then if you slip back down too quick, then you got to do it again until it feels different. You feel
Hmm.
lighter, buoyant. You can think clear. Doesn't mean you need coffee or caffeine. Well, that's not very caffeinated, but uh, if you have problems focusing, doesn't mean you need, oh, I don't know, it's magnesium or potassium or something, or caffeine. If you have trouble thinking because you're depressed and you can't think through what you want to do, watch something funny. That is my best advice in the whole world. There's other things, I'm sure.
Hmm.
I also believe in thrift store therapy. Shopping is therapy, everybody, no matter where you shop. Had a lady friend, she had some money, and she would spend hundreds of dollars every time she went shopping. I says, "Where do you go?" Well, her favorite store was Macy's, and I like Macy's, but I can't afford it.
Hmm.
She couldn't either. She just put everything on a card. So I introduced her to thrift stores, and happy woman. Happy woman. I says, there's nothing nicer than just walking up aisles. Doesn't mean you have to buy something. It means that if you are so inclined to have to buy something,
Hmm.
it's $5 versus 100. So I call it thrift store is therapy.
Right.
Uh, there's another term I use. I've had a long day too. Um, and then, you're right. So the other one I wanted to tell you about, remember the lady in the eyeglass place, and lovely lady. She did ask for my card. I got home and I called somebody. I says, there's days when I get tired and I think I'm getting old, everybody. I older. I think I can feel myself working the way into my 80s, but at some point, slow down. Yet, with that lady yesterday, I felt so compelled to tell her, and her husband was looking at me like, "Come on, I'm standing right here." I went, "Dang," and I felt it was the right thing to do today. Everybody, during COVID, right at the beginning of COVID, I smashed my toe and broke it. Big toe, right foot.
Oh
Well,
no.
yeah, yeah, it healed, and then I hit it again in the middle of summer, 2020, 21 rather. So, you don't do things in COVID, right? And
Right.
so today I went to get X-ray on it, and up here, wonderful clinic, beautiful place. The room was full of people, and I sat across from a woman, and we were talking. I don't know what I said. I don't know what happened. She says, we were talking about being married and the husband being I had asked Larry, "Do you want to go and you can sit in the car and read a book or something?" And he had something else to do, and I don't know how we got on the topic of that. And she says, "Oh, I would have been married 50 years this year." I go, "Really? Wow." She says, "Yeah, but I'm a widow." And I looked around real quick, and there was nobody there. I went, "Oh God!"
Mhm.
And the reason is there's like I didn't know, 12, 13 more people in there. Would have been real hard to get away with that,
Mhm.
telling her the dead person was there. Yeah. When she said her husband had died, he didn't show up. But I did find it curious that I had two examples of the lady yesterday and the husband standing there and went, oops, oops. And today, when the woman says, I'm a widow, and he wasn't there, I went, oh, that was, yes, I see you. Um, Cats everywhere. That's the other one, everybody. So, in some ways, you have to pick your place and how do you do it and how you convince somebody that you have an attachment. It's sometimes hard to believe it yourself unless you had enough exposure. So then I would say, watch everything like we do on YouTube.
Mhm.
Read a book. Uh, there's must be many books out there talking about attachments. But I would like to encourage you to think of it like I do, and as in, don't assume this is a someone from the deep bowels of the earth, fire and brimstone. Think of it as a poor lost soul, and they just don't know how to go on. And when I
Mhm.
talk to these people, sympathy just pours out of me. I'm so sorry. Can you not hear me? Let me see you wiggle a finger. Can you open an eye? Can you speak to me in any way?
Mhm.
And sometimes I just have to coach them and say, you don't belong here. You're with the living. You need to pass over and join your family. I have to sometimes say it over and over and over. It's very, very difficult. You can do that. You can knock somebody off by just not being what they want you to be. But I want you to believe and say, it's not a demon. Remember my truth, everybody. I don't want you to write me a letter and say, I come from a religion that has demons and things that
Right.
go through the dimensions. And I didn't say I didn't believe in that, but there's not too many incidences that I have seen and felt 30, almost 33 years that would say anything to be a demon. These are lost, insane souls. They're so attached to life that they had attached to you. And sometimes it's positive. Maybe they just like to eat and you do too. And all of a sudden you find yourself hungry for Chinese food and you've never eaten Chinese food because you like Kentucky Fried Chicken. Then start questioning why do you like that versus this over here?
Right. 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 Right.
Okay,
Guys,
everybody.
it's been a fun hour.
I hope so. It was a very tough topic to write up examples and talk about it. I have notes over here, and I don't think I touched all of them. Uh, mm, talk about attachment during ghost investigation. I did do that. I've seen animals, deceased kittens attached. Yes, I did that. Talk about hearing voices versus family talking to you. You got to make sure that the voices you hear is not grandma saying to you, honey, eat your veggies, honey. Just be healthy, versus someone is rambling because they're insane. Make sure you
Right.
can tell the difference. Seeing the attachment and removal, seeing something as you look in a mirror and there's something on your back.
Mhm.
Oh, remember Doctor Who and the one of the main characters? It was quite earlier. I can't remember what doctor it was, but it was one that was very popular. And the woman had a crab on her back. Everybody could see it, but she couldn't. Make reference to Lynn's show from last night. I encourage you to go back and watch it. It's kind of fun to hear what I say and it's someone else's voice. And she added
Mhm.
a lot more. Emotionally damaged souls to the point and beyond of insanity. If you can remember that, you won't fear it. Compassion, sympathy can get that person off or change your vibration. Absolutely.
Mm.
Okay, okay, so I think I've covered what I wrote down. Went through it real quick. Okay, I hope you guys had fun tonight.
I had fun.
Good.
Always, always, always. Okay. I'm going to be reading the book on Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Now, we're getting to really close to the end of this book, so I don't even know if I'll finish the book, if it'll end, take an hour to read it. It may be a 15-minute read the way it's going. So we're going to finish that book Sunday. And if you guys want, I mean, if I finish the book like before that hour is up, I could always start reading Anna's book right away, to get that started. The introduction to that. So I'll make a decision over that because I really don't want to open up my Kindle and then have to see how many pages I have because then I'll get lost. So we don't want to go there. So we just got to go with the flow on it. And then Monday, Wayne Pacell is back with us, and he is the animal rights activist, and he's got some
Oh,
more work that he's been doing for animal rights. So he's going to be with us Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and then the week starts, and off we go. Right. So I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and don't forget, I keep
wrap it up, everybody.
I'm going to pound this home about the Patreon, but I think it's really a cool deal over there. So check it out. Patreon, I forget what it was, patreon.com/California Haunts Radio, I think. I put I was able to put all that information also into the description of this show, so you can go back and check it out. It'll be over there on YouTube. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. You can tell I'm tired and loopy. It's been a long day. And I appreciate each and every one of you, especially the people around the world. I love you all. So if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. That's what we do here. We're equal opportunity. And thank you so much. And I can't say it enough. All right, guys, I'm going to let you start your weekend, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody. And ladies, thank you for showing up. Good questions.